It's time for the next sling in the Perfect Sling series. This time we're gonna look at the Herman H3 by Nayosmart. What's going on, everybody? This is Lamar with MFinResearch, and today we're looking at this guy right here. This is the Herman H3 Sling by Nayosmart. I'm gonna be honest with you guys, I had never heard of Nayosmart before. They reached out to me, they asked if I'd be interested in looking at a couple of their bags. Looked at their bags online. I was very impressed. So I wanted to see if the bags were as good as they looked. We'll run it through the paces and see how it stands out as a potential perfect sling candidate. So now let's take a look at the material and hardware. So when we start with the materials and stuff, we'll start with the webbing on the front with the logo embossed right there and a little rubber, and you just open that and you just got the little fidlock nipple. You go right inside, there's a zipper in there. So you've got zippers. I don't think there's any mention of if they're YKK zippers or not, but they are very smooth. The action on is really nice. It's some of the nicest zippers I've had. They've got nice little synthetic leather pull tabs. They've got a little bit of paracord. They've got heat shrink on them to keep them protected, and they just work really smooth. So you've got great zipper hardware. The main fabric is called Natex. It's a parachute. It's a watertight, and it's a water repellent fabric, and it's got an oil and anti-static protection. So it's a pretty interesting fabric. It feels different than anything that I've ever handled before. So a lot of times when you talk about like leather bags and stuff like that, you talk about the hand of a bag, and that's something to notice how smooth that this bag feels, and I really like that. It's got Duraflex hardware throughout. These buckles are pretty solid right here. So really liking that. Like I said, there's synthetic leather accents. There's one there. There's one on the handle. There's a couple on the sides. And then it's got nice little pull tabs. So on the zippers, you've got this pull tab. And then on this zipper, you've got that same kind of pull tab idea. But this is just, again, it's kind of like a rubber or something like that. Zippers are different from this zipper, but they're nice, solid. Like I said, they perform really smoothly. No problem with these zippers at all. So the material that Nayosmart used is not something that I'm used to seeing in sling bags, but I'm thoroughly impressed. It felt really nice, and it was really nice to the touch. It seems really well made, no loose seams, nothing like that so far in using it. Even with the hardware, you use Fidlock and Duraflex buckles. I don't know about the years and years of use. It seems like it'll last a really long time, but I am definitely impressed, and there's no real showing of wear since I've been using this guy pretty much for about a month. If you want your sling to maintain a similar look day in and day out, this material so far seems like it'll fit the bill. And the score, because the material felt so nice, they used quality hardware, I'm gonna give it a 9. So let's talk about the organization and ease of access. First up, when we talk about the organization, is this quick access compartment on the front. It's wide enough for my iPhone, but once you put other stuff in here, I wouldn't put that in there with that, but that's just the section right there. It's not really felt lined or anything like that, but that's this front section right here. And then we'll go into this section right here, and it's kind of hard to see in there, but there's a zipper section in there. There's 2 slip pockets right here, and then there's all this open space right in here to put whatever you need to go in there. And before we go into the main compartment, well, it might be easier to see if we do it this way, but if you go in there, that little channel right there is where you can fit your water bottle. So I'll go under through there, and you can just fit a water bottle right through there. And then in what I guess is the main compartment, it's what I call it, so we'll say it's the main compartment. So again, you got your zippers, you've got a tablet pocket right there, you've got a nice little stretchy little pocket that's designed for AirPods, you've got a couple stretch pockets right here. They're not tight to it like they should be, but they're nice little slip pockets so you can fit stuff in there. So I think pouches work better than loose items in there. Then you've got 2 pin loops. You've got the Nayosmart logo. We'll talk about that in branding later. And then that's pretty much all. And then you can fit stuff right here on the floor of the bag. So that's the organization. There's a lot of organization in this bag. It's almost like it's 2 slings in one. You've got a front sling with a fold over flap and a dump pocket. And then you've got a more traditional zipper access sling. And in the middle between those 2 sections, you've got a water bottle compartment. Everything in this bag is easy to get to. You can use pouches if you want to or not. One of the things I did notice is depending on what you had in the pockets, and this is in both sections, they weren't as tight as I would have liked them. So because of that, things could flop out of the pocket. So like you'll see in the loadout, I had to go from using some of the items loose to go into a pouch. One of the other things talking about the interior, it's a gray, but it's a darker gray. So it's a little bit better than black, but it's still kind of hard to see in there. And when we're looking in the bag, you'll see that sometimes. Even despite that, there's plenty of space throughout the bag. You can use it however you want. There's a lot of organization that may be a little bit intimidating for some, but I liked it. And don't forget, there's a water bottle section in the middle. One thing I did say is I put my phone in multiple locations. A lot of times I find with slings, there's an obvious place to put your phone. Because there's so much going on with this sling, you can put it in about 3 or 4 different places depending on how quick of access you want to it. So overall for organization, because there's enough organization in here, took a couple points off because of the pockets and the darkness of the interior, but overall I still gave it an 8. It was pretty solid organization overall. So let's talk about the comfort. The padding on this bag is nice. There's nice back padding right here, and ergonomically, the way this bag sits on your back, it does a fantastic job of distributing the weight. Even when I packed it out to test it at a max load, it was still fairly comfortable, and I didn't really worry about it digging in my shoulder too much because my back kind of took it like it was supposed to. It fit like it was supposed to. It wasn't too big on the front or the back, unless you had it all the way packed out with a water bottle, then it stuck out this way a little bit. But overall, using it day in and day out, it was very comfortable. All the touch points on this bag are comfortable. There's good material. So far, it wasn't too hot, and I didn't find it getting hot and sweaty on my back any more than any other sling. So far, this is one of the most comfortable bags I've seen in terms of weight distribution. It didn't get too hot. There's plenty of padding. Overall, I gave the comfort an 8. All right, let's talk about the design and the style of this guy. It comes in gray, black, or ash. I opted for the gray. The style is really the standout feature of this bag. It's sleek. It's got a nice look for an urban setting. It doesn't look out of place if you're dressed up. Honestly, I'll say it's a little too fancy for some of the clothes that I wear on a day-to-day basis. Didn't look out of place, but I felt like you could dress this up a little more than you normally would some of the other slings, and that's pretty cool. Really liked some of the design cues, the badging, the branding. It wasn't over the top, but it was there. The material seemed really good. It really was nice to the touch. I like some of the choices that they made, like the leather accents right here, the faux leather accents right here. And one of the things, and I don't know if I'll get to it in any of the other sections that I like, is I am not a fan of the stability strap. And sometimes you find if it's not detachable, you're stuck with it. If it is detachable, you have to throw it away somewhere. This is a nice happy medium. Although I wish you could detach it, it fits right back here pretty snugly. I could clean it up a little better. It fits more flush. The reason it's not right now is because I did test it out just to see what I thought about it, using it with the stability strap. I think the styling and the function work very well together. So I'm gonna say the style and the design of this bag is really the strong suit. If you want something that's a good looking bag, I'm gonna say this is a 10. All right, let's talk about the versatility. This is a crossbody sling. That's it. No using it as a tech pouch, no using it as a added bag, no using it to clip on the other bags. This is one across the front or the back. Nothing wrong with that, but I do like to see a little bit more versatility. So because of that, I'm gonna give it a 6 in terms of versatility. It's one of those bags that does what it's designed to do well, but it doesn't do anymore. So looking at the size, it's a 6-liter bag. It felt like it held more than some of my other 6-liter bags. So really enjoyed the size on this guy. It came in at 580 grams, or that's 1.28 pounds. It's 8 by 13 by 3 as far as the dimensions go. And I think for the size, it's sized about right for what it is. It's a 6-liter bag, so it's not gonna be super small and being able to hide and conceal very easily, but it's a large enough bag to hold all that you need to hold without being oversized or anything like that. So I think being mindful of what it's designed to do, it holds an 11-inch tablet and the storage is pretty efficient. So overall, I think the size, given that it's a 6-liter sling, I gave it a score of a 9. Now let's talk about the availability. It is only offered through Nayosmart's website. Usually they have pretty fast shipping, and I think there are free shipping options depending on what you purchase. When I checked on the estimation, if I order the bag today, I get it in about a week, and that's pretty good on the shipping. And you do get free shipping and 30 days to return. Overall, it's not available in a bunch of places, so there's no stores if you want to get a look at it first. So with that, I'm gonna have to give the availability a 5, given that it's only on one website. So now we're gonna talk about the strap. So looking at this strap, which again, we all know, The strap is my most important section. Let's go through the features. It's very, very quick adjustable, and we'll show you some B-roll of that. So we'll just adjust right there on this guy right here. And the adjustment is very easy. You can detach the shoulder strap like this. I don't really have any slings that do like this. My wife's Belroy does kind of do this a little bit, but those are easy to detach. I prefer not to attach them, especially because this is so easy to adjust. But if you really want to detach them and remove them, and you can kind of use it in almost briefcase mode, and with the handle, you can take those straps off altogether. One thing I do like is the strap is self-contained, so it manages, and in my true fashion, I got it all tangled up, taking it on and off. But what it does do a very good job of is managing, and I'll take it off so you can see it. It manages the strap, so there's no dangling strap. It's self-contained, and it also has a strap keeper on here, so it's nice and covered. This strap didn't have padding, but like we talked about in the comfort and based on the ergonomics, it didn't really dig in my shoulder, so I didn't really see a problem with wearing it on my shoulder for long periods of time or even in hot weather. So for some people, if you really pack this guy out, you may want some padding, and that would be a nice added accessory if that were available. But for most people, if you load it pretty reasonably, don't pack it out to the max, this strap should be pretty comfortable. I didn't have any problem because it's that smooth mesh slipping off or anything like that either. This is another strap that I think does a very good job. The only thing that I kind of wish, and this is kind of subjective, some people like it, some people don't, is I like the quick disconnect at the chest. Some people don't like that for theft deterrent reasons, and I'm willing to look past that because this works so well. This is a pretty solid strap. No complaints, did everything I wanted to. Getting in and out the bag was pretty easy, so we're gonna give it a 9. So now let's talk about the value. Normal price on this guy is 130 bucks. That may be high for some, but I think for what you're getting, it's a pretty solid value. There's sales on these guys all the time. I think I saw it as low as 99 bucks, and I've heard rumors of it getting even cheaper than that. Anything under $100 on this guy is a fantastic deal, I think, especially for what you're getting: the material, the Fidlock, the Duraflex, the quick disconnect, the zippers, and how well they function, the ability to hold a water bottle, the ability to hold an 11-inch tablet. That right there is a key point right there. I do feel what you get for your money is a solid value. Overall, I'm gonna give it a value an 8 at a regular price. If you can catch this guy on sale under 100 bucks, I'd probably give it a 10. So on the back, there's padding, but there is no mesh. There's a grab handle with synthetic leather. You can fit a water bottle in any compartment really if you want to, but there is a hidden pocket designed for a water bottle right there. It is not optimized for concealed carry. I wouldn't even recommend that for this particular bag. If you're into the hook and loop panels for your Ranger eyes or patches and things like that, this bag is not designed for this. This is a more sleek, minimal aesthetic. As far as branding goes, there's branding right there. There's branding on the corner right here by the edge of the strap. Then I don't think there's much more. There's the NS on the zipper pulls right there. And then the other hit of internal branding is just right in there. So that's the branding. It's subdued. It's a little bit more than I like to see, but it's relatively subdued for what it is. So I think it does go with the aesthetic of the bag. All right, so let's go over the loadout. So we're just gonna start in the front and work our way all the way to the back in the main compartment. So in here, got the nice zippers. Going in here, I've got the Mech wallet by PunCube. This is just the wallet I've been carrying. I did a review on this guy not too long ago. Take a look at that. And in here, since I haven't been using my usual EDC pouch as a wallet setup since I've been using the PunCube, here's my key fob. So there's just the key fob to my vehicle. And I think that's all I keep in this main compartment, because while it fit my phone, I just didn't like it in here all the time with the other stuff in here. If I didn't have this stuff in here, the phone worked in here just fine. So just take a look at that pocket, and then we'll go, and that's all that's in there. So then we'll go in here, grab the little loop, go down on the Fidlock right there, and just open this guy right up so you can see right in there what that looks like. And then we'll just put it down, and we'll go in here and just start digging in to see what's in here. So I don't think I had too much in here. So nothing on the front part right here. I did put my phone here a couple times, but most of the time I left it in the main compartment just because it's a little faster to get to. So I had a nano bag, and then I think at one point I had as many as 3 USB cables in here, but this is just USB-C to USB-C. That's the only one I think I have in there right now. And then I think that's all on this part. So just the front of this compartment. And then we'll go in the slip pocket, and I had my Miyu Mini just in there. It fits perfectly right there. And then let's see if I can, let's do that again so we can show you what it looks like in there. It's kind of hard to see, but it's right there. Let's see, going that way. That's a little better. Right in there. That's where it fits. So it's kind of hard to see in here, but navigating in and out wasn't really a problem. So then let's see, let's go like that. And then just reaching in here again on the other side. This is where I just kept my flashlight. I don't think I've done a review on this guy. This is just the Sofern SC13A, and I think it's dead right now. No, it's actually on, it's just on moonlight mode. So that's that guy. And then that's all I had in those two compartments. And then in the zipper compartment is where I put this guy. I was gonna switch this out just because this was a little harsh, I felt, on the back of here, but this is just my little hygiene pouch. I've got lotions, chapsticks, eye drops, deodorants, Tide wipes, all the stuff to keep you clean, keep you fresh, keep you taken care of in the day, both me and the family. So that's the hygiene pouch. You've seen that. I've been using this pretty much since the nutsack video at the beginning of the year, and this is just one of the 3 Tactical Geek clear EDC pouches. So I think that's all that's in here, reaching in there. And then we'll go into the main compartment. So there's nothing on the back, so we'll just go right into the main compartment. And so starting in the back, we've got my tablet, 11-inch iPad Pro, and then that's it, because that's just the tablet compartment. If you got your gaming console, you can put it in there as well. I've got the 20,000 milliamp hour U-Green 100-watt charger, just because I had so much tech in here. I had my tablet, I had my phone, sometimes I had my work phone, and then I had this guy in here. And if I had to charge the kids or the wife's phones, I had this guy ready to go and charging it. And then I've just got this notebook. I've mentioned this a few times in a couple gift guides, but this is just a little band pad. It's a hard notebook within the Zebra F301, I think it is. It's the, the V301. It's a fountain pen. And this is just the notebook that I started using just to take notes on the different bags as I find things. So a lot of times when I'm wearing the bag, I'll notice things on the fly while I'm out and about. And so I'll say, hey, let me jot that down since I experienced it so I don't forget, and I can tell you guys all about it. So that's what this notebook is primarily for. Then this guy is just a little pouch that I got from my county comm haul. Like I said in the video, I knew exactly what this was going to be for. It's just a little zipper pouch. And it holds these guys. Talked about these a few times before. I think I usually have one of each, one of the hand wipes and one of the sanitizing wipes, just to keep your hands clean, keep your surfaces clean. It's a compressed towel, like I've talked about before, and it's got the cleaning solution in here. So you just press it down. It does the expansion right there. So you've got something to clean things. And I like those a little better than dude wipes. And then, so going in there, let's go here. So I've got my case to represent my phone. This is usually where I found the best place for my phone, and then I just brought this guy back. Since it's a fancier bag, a nicer bag, I thought I'd go with a little fancier carry this time. So this is the hank that my wife made, the Black Panther hank that she made for me a while ago, and I just thought I'd break it out for this particular bag, and didn't disappoint as always. So those two things went in this pocket. The hank kind of acted as like a double screen protector right there, even though you didn't need it. The material's nice and soft, but I still use it anyway. Then I just had a little Canuck tweezer, one of the 2-pack. I've noticed I've needed tweezers a few more times, so tweezers are making it back into the EDC rotation. So here are the tweezers that I use. And then we talked about this guy once. This is the copper Sharpie S-Gel pen. So been using this. It's still pretty new, as I switched to it from one of the county comm pens, and it still hadn't picked up the patina that I'm looking for, but give it a few months, it'll be just fine. You'll see this in some more EDCs coming soon, and once it gets that nice patina, I'll show you what it looks like when it's new versus what it looks like after a few months. And then I had my Palm Industries pepper spray. Like I said, I really enjoyed carrying this. Nice, small, little bit of peace of mind, and it just sits in the bag, nice, small, easy to access, real quick and easy. And then last up, I think in here, well, second to last up, and we'll talk about this pouch. So one of the things is these didn't really hold up once I started putting in a lot of stuff. So I had to put this pouch in here. Once I put this pouch in here, it fit in there pretty perfectly. And so these are just some of the extra things. Altoid tin. I think this one's just a straight Altoid tin. It's running empty, so I'm gonna put another one of those inserts that my brother gave me in there soon. I went with the Victorinox Super Tinker for my multi-tool this time, broke that back out. I did drop it and break the scale a little bit, so I guess it's finally time to replace the scales on this guy. And then just my screen cleaner. So all the screens I have in here, way to keep them clean. Like I said, this one is probably about time to replace this one soon, but I love these over the wipes that I used to use. So putting that back in there for there. And then on here, since I wanted a classier carry this time, I brought out what I guess is the classiest knife that I have. Maybe I need to find a new one. I'll take some recommendations of a nice classy knife that's not too expensive, and it's just the Civivi Altus. And I've had this for a few years, and this was the knife I used in here this time. And I think that's all that's in there. Oh yeah, there's one more thing. So in this pocket, which I didn't know was a pocket until I looked on the site and I was getting my notes for my review ready, this is actually a pocket dedicated. Let me see if I can get you right in there real good. So, and we'll talk about it a little more. You've seen it in the breakdown, but that pocket right there is designed, it's a little meshy, a little stretchy. It's designed for your AirPods. And this case is a little too big for that, but in the smaller cases, it worked just fine. AirPods slipped in there, no problem. So that's what I had in there, just the AirPods in there. And what I didn't talk about is a couple times, and not this time, I did have the small flat water bottle, and I'll put some B-roll of that water bottle going in here, right there. So as we talked about before, there's a water bottle channel right there. So you can see my arm. Let's see if I can get that in the camera, in the frame. So my arm, hand, that's where the water bottle goes. So that's where I put my water bottle, and it's just held in place by that. So that is how I have this guy loaded out. So now let's talk about what I liked. The material and the hardware choices, they feel nice, they look nice. I think that's a very strong suit of this sling. Along those lines, the design choices and the style, it's just a good looking bag. It really is. I'm looking at my notes right now, and all of my notes say styling, hardware, materials in different ways. So really, I liked the way this bag looked, and I like the choices that they made. I like that it somewhat expands to meet your needs. This sits down pretty flat. So you have this part as a sling, you have this part as a sling, and then you have the hidden water bottle pocket in the middle. So you can use as much or as little of this sling without it being too cumbersome. I do like the organization on this sling. While it needs a little bit of work to keep it perfect, and we'll talk about that in a minute, I do think there's enough of it to meet your needs. You don't have to use a lot of pouches if you don't want to, and I think it'll hold everything you need and probably a little more. I like the integration of the stabilizer strap. I like the thoughtfulness of all the features in this bag, and I like the fact that the weight distribution on this sling, even when packed out, is done very well. It doesn't seem too heavy, so a lot of good things. So now let's talk about some of the areas where I think the sling can improve. First off, I did notice there's a bit of a learning curve on this sling. There's a lot of features and a lot of things going on. Like I said, I missed the AirPod pocket until I was looking on the website. So that once you find it is great. Once you get used to it is good, but there is gonna be some time taken. For example, another thing that happened to me is I noticed as I was wearing the sling, it was sliding a bit. And because of that, I was thinking, oh man, what's wrong with this strap? One of the worst straps I've ever seen. Come to find out, I didn't lock the latch on it. Once I did that, had no problems, didn't slide again. So that was user error on my part, but again, that speaks to some of the learning that you have to do with this bag. So the front flap compartment, because it bellows out like this, be careful what you're loading in there. It can pack it out a little bit far. So that's something more or less a packing and organization thing to keep in mind when you're using this guy. The material and the styling is really nice. Sometimes it's almost too nice. I felt like it was too nice of a bag for the clothes that I had on sometimes, because I'm a sweatpants and t-shirt kind of guy. But if I was in more jeans or a polo or nicer clothes, going to church or going to work or something like that, I think this bag really fits going out. I really think it's a good urban EDC tech sling kind of thing. I do think that the interior could use a little bit of work. One, make that interior a little bit brighter. You don't necessarily have to go with the high vis orange. A brighter gray would work. And then I think on the slip pockets, some sort of reinforcement so they're not so floppy, because I did find them a little bit floppy. That was a little bit annoying, but putting a pouch in there kind of remedies that problem. So maybe a little tab on the middle to reinforce, make the pockets a little tighter, or figure something to make them just a little more sturdy. Something like that would work, or just make them a stretch mesh or something like that. So the other thing is, I wish one of my favorite aspects is on the back of a sling, there being a hidden compartment right there. Some people call it a passport pocket. I wish it had something like that. And I'll say that there was really no pocket that was my favorite for my phone. So now let's talk about the score. Overall, this sling scored very well. It got a 72, which gave it a score of 80. This is the second highest sling that I've rated so far. It's just under the Morale Sling by Nutsack. So this is in the top 2 so far. So fantastic work. Definitely by a brand that I never heard of before. So now that you've seen it, what do you think of the Herman H3 by Nayosmart? Have you ever heard of Nayosmart as a brand? Let me know that, and if you have, where you heard of them from. As always, take care of yourselves, take care of each other. There's going to be videos on the screen of more of my content. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. I'm Lamar with MFinResearch, and I'm out.